This conference will now be recorded.
So last week we just talked about what is Docker and how to install, and I asked you guys to download Docker Desktop for Windows 10. So if you haven't done it, please do it, and you can double click and install it. Okay, and once you install, you start the Docker. There will be a small icon, dolphin icon here, which says Docker Desktop is running. You need to start it. Okay, once you start it, the first step would be to log into your command prompt, and let's run this command to check the version of Docker, right? So very important thing, you need to make sure the Docker is up and running fully, otherwise it will not work. That means both client and server is running, right? So let's go and say Docker version. To put this, you should get the server version as well as the client version. In our case, both server and client both are the same machine, but even though it's the same machine, see here the server runs on a Linux, which is a virtual machine running on the Windows, right? So this is what you need to make sure you are getting both the things. If your Docker is not started fully, you will only get the client version. So you need to wait for it to fully come up. Okay, so it will come up based upon your system speed and all those things. For me, it will at least take 5 minutes because I have a lot of things installed. So you have to just wait, hold on for that. Okay, the first step. The second step is to make sure we need to have access to the hub.docker.com. Now this is where all our registry and all our public registry and images are in your Docker. So first you need to go and create a login at hub.docker.com. If you already have a login, then make sure you remember your password and username. We need to use it in the command prompt to log into Docker Hub. So whenever we try to containerize any image, any application, if the image is present in the local, it will take it from cache. If it is not there, it will go to the hub and then it will download the latest from there, and then it will go ahead and install it for us. Okay, so just make sure you are having access to the hub.docker.com. Okay, if you don't have one, please go ahead and create one. Okay, and this is a public registry where you will have all the images, official images, community based images, and all the images. Images are nothing but a small read only templates of that particular application. Say for example, you want to install Apache as a Docker container, then Apache will the officially Apache will be releasing a Docker container image, and you can use that to download and containerize that, and you can start using in your Docker. Okay, just give me 1 minute. It's taking some time to load. And once you kind of create the login, just make sure you do a Docker login from here. And now this will ask for your username and password. So you need to enter your username and password. Since I have already entered, I have the login cached. So it will automatically allow me in, but for you, it will ask you for the username and password. Okay, so you need to make sure you are entering your username and password here. Okay. In running this Docker in local will also be a little bit painful because it will take most of your resources. So we will see how to use that in the virtual machine like EC2 or something, right? Go to hub.docker.com and create your own login. Okay. I had some Windows 10 update today. From morning, it is kind of, I don't know what is broke. I'll have to revert that patch. It's taking a lot of time. Okay, we'll go and sign in. If you already have an account, if not, go and register a new account and you should be fine. Okay, login succeeded because I already have a credentials uploaded here. So you will be getting a username and password and you will need to sign into that. Okay, so please sign in using that also. Then the next step for us to do, let's have that. So the first thing is to log into your this one. We have logged in, and to list all the containers that are running in your Docker, you just need to do a Docker PS. So Docker basically works on your Linux. So most of your Linux commands will work. Docker PS or normal PS command is to show all the running process. So you can go and hit this. If you have any containers that are actively running, it will show here. But if you want to see all the containers, whether it is stopped or not, you can put PS-A. It will show you all the containers, both stopped and started and active, right? So these are all exited already. So these are all stopped ones. Okay. And you can also use the full like Docker container PS or Docker container LS. Both will also work. Okay. To list all the containers, PS is a old syntax. So they're asking us to use PS-A to list all the containers irrespective of the state, whether it is actually running or not. So the PS is a old command. You can use this Docker container ls, right? That also will work. So you can say Docker container ls also should work. -A will give you all the this one. Okay. Then again, A is short form for all. You can either put -, all or -all. I told you already, for any language, if you use a double, this one you need to give full, like say version. You give a single, then you need to give only one letter. Okay. So this is how it works in everything. Okay. So you can show this all the containers that are running with a file size, right? What is the file size you want to see? You can simply say Docker PS-S. Okay, -A. It will show you, see here 312 MB and some 609 MB, right? This is what it will show you. You want to find the size of your Docker container. Okay, then you, for each and every Docker container, there will be an ID. There will be an ID here, which is like kind of 64 digits or something, but it will display only top 10. Okay. So to see all the list IDs alone, just go ahead and do PS-Q. Docker PS-Q will give all the active only, but we don't have anything active now. So just go and put AQ. It will show all the state and it will show only this, right? 75C and 6B9, right? So these are the things it will do. Q is the short form for quiet. Okay. Want to list all IDs? This will be the way to list all the IDs. Okay, fine. Okay, so first let's go and try to create some Docker. Then we will see how to. Okay, we'll create the Docker and then we will go and see how we can access this Docker, right? So the one thing that you can do, as I told you, whenever there is a Docker container is being created, it will actually do a pull. It will pull the image from the Docker hub and start it in your local host. Okay, so let's try to run this image and see if we are able to pull this Docker. So the first thing is what it will do. You have to say Docker pull. Okay, I want to pull Nginx. Nginx is a web server. I want to pull CentOS, right? CentOS. What it will do? It will basically see here. It will go and check for the. If you don't give any tags, it will say latest. It will start pulling from the library. So it is pulling from your Docker hub using your login that whatever you have given, it's going to pull based on that. It will search for in local and it will go ahead and pull the image. See, this is the image ID that is there. So to see the images, just say Docker images. You can go and see CentOS that we pulled now, right? So this is the ID 764. So you will see that 764. Yeah, this is the ID for that image. So you get an image ID. Okay, fine. And then when you pull this image will only be pulled. It will not kind of create any Docker container for you. So we will go and use the Docker run option. So what this Docker run will do, it will go and search for your local if there is any image. If there are no images, it will download it from your Docker hub and deploy that Docker hub. So there are various options we have to do that. We have for Docker run. Let's go and try to do that, right? So what we are going to do, we are going to download Nginx as the image. Go and search for Nginx is a reverse proxy web server. Okay, as I told in the last class, always try to use the Docker official image, right? Docker official image. So this is what it will try to download. So when you click here, you can see here there are different versions. So this is the latest version 123.2 mainline 1.23. These are all the latest version. If you wanted to take 1.221, then I'll show you how to take that, right? So let's first try to run this command, understand this command fully, and then start running. So Docker run is the command. Then we have different options and then image name. So this will download or pull the image from the Docker hub if not present in the local host and run a container. Some of the options we have, we will go and see one by one. The first thing is you can give the name of a container. If you are not giving the name of a container, a default name will be assigned by default. Okay, by default name will be assigned. We will talk about this volume later. This is one. The next is if it is a web server, you can publish to a port. When you say publish -p and give a port number, you can publish and map the host and container port. Host is our local port and container is where this Nginx is running. For example, it is running in 80. Then -d is a option where you need to run your container in the detached or the background mode. If you run it in the attached mode and the foreground mode, we will see what will happen. And we will not be seeing this link. We'll be seeing this link in when we're talking about Docker Compose. And this is where you can remove your container once the container is stopped. Let's go and try to run this one by one, right? So what we wanted to do first I wanted to put this, go and check whether I have my Nginx. There are no Nginx image here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to run this command docker run -d. If you give, it will run in the background. If you don't give this, it will run in the foreground. Let's make it to run in the foreground. I'm not giving the name also. We'll give name and next and check. Then I wanted to publish this port. My local port, I wanted to map it to 80 and the container will be running on port 80. And what is the image name? Nginx. Okay, if you give colon and give some value, then that will be the version value. Let's put 1.22, right? So 1.22. If you don't specify anything apart from the image name, it will take the latest. So we will go this one without the latest, and then we will do another one with the latest. What it is trying to do, it's unable to find the image in my local, so it will go to Docker Hub and it will go and download from the library. Okay. So Docker images are very, very small. It will have only the minimum things that you need for your application to run. So Docker run will do two jobs. It will pull and it will create the container. Okay, since we are running it in the foreground, this particular window, you will not be able to do anything. Okay, you will not be able to do anything, and it has already downloaded and it's trying to create a container. And once its container is created, we will go and check all other commands, right? Whatever we tried, a couple of commands before this, right? So if you basically run it in the background, then you don't have to do this. See here, it's running in the foreground now. It's running in the foreground. So background it is running, you can see that. So if you go and do a Docker PS, it will show the container Nginx 122 that's running. Since we did not give any name, it does put some random name like Goofy Ride, right? Goofy Ride. Now, how do we access this? Go and say localhost. If this is correct, then you should be able to see your Nginx localhost. See here, you got your Nginx page, right? So this is coming from this Docker. Now, if you do Control C, well, nothing will happen. See here, I'm doing a Control C on this, nothing will happen. But all the logs will be printed on the foreground. So this is where we are having an issue. We'll have to detach this. For this, what we need to do, let's go and first stop this Docker, stop this container. So to stop the container, Docker stop, and you can give either the ID or the name, right? If you want to give the ID, just give 1 or 3 characters of that ID, that will be fine, right? So 58F, stop this. Then you can see here, it will automatically come out, right? It will automatically come out. So let's go and run this in the background. Now let's go and see Docker run -d, run it in the background, okay, and publish to the port. Already 80 something is running, so you cannot do. Let's run map 80 to our 81, 80 to our 81, and this time I want to give a name that's called by inx my nginx, and this time I want to take the latest of my nginx, and this is the image name. So if you go and put here, it will go and download the latest version of the image. We already have 1.22, but still it will download the latest one. One of the layer base is already available. It will take the rest of the stuff. Once it is all done, it will create a container for us and it will come out because the process is running in the detached mode on the background. See, this is the ID. I think it is 64 digits or something. That is the ID that is actually there, and the first 10 will be displayed. So now if I go and do Docker PS, I have only one running, and that should be our latest one. See, Nginx, this is my name, and it is running in port 81. So go back to localhost and say :81. You should be seeing your Nginx again. Okay, so this is how your this particular command works. So we saw this name. If we don't specify a name, some name is assigned. Port mapping we can do. If it is a web server, you can do a port mapping wherever you want to see it in the browser. -D will run in the container the detached background mode, or if you say, if you don't give this, it will run in the attached mode or the foreground mode, and RM will remove the container once it is stopped. If you want to stop a container, you can stop the container and you can use the you can remove your container, but you need to make sure the container is stopped if you want to remove the container. Okay, now we already have one container that is stopped, right? So to see a running container, Docker PS will be our running container. Docker PS -A will show all the containers which are stopped also. So already I have this. Where is that guy? Some goofy we had, right? Something. Okay. Goofy, right? This is the container that is stopped. Now, how do we start this container? Docker start. I can give -D. Start it in the detached mode, so you don't mess up with my this one. So I just say 58F or goofy ride, right? Whatever name you have, you can go to. It will start in the detached mode. So by default, your start will be in the detached mode, but you can also say attached mode or detached mode. You want it, then it will go ahead and run this. So now you will have two versions of your Nginx running, one on 80, one on 81, right? So this way you can have multiple applications running on the same host with a different port. What is happening? Goofy_right. You can start a stopped container, and you can also, it's started now. Now if you go and do a PS-8, it will show everything. And if you go and just do a PS alone, then it will show only the active running ones, right? So both are running in the detached mode. So you can see one is running in 81, one is running in 80. So now you can go and see both the stuff. See, both the versions of Nginx are running. So this is the way how you need to kind of create a Docker container. Okay, so this can be anything, right? It can be, now there are this file. Assume that you want to overwrite this one with your own file, right? Then what we can do, we can map our volume. We can map our local mount volume. Say for example, here is a -V is mounting your specified local storage or volume to map to the container volume while running a Docker. So you can see -V, and I want to have this particular HTML file, overwritten here. Okay, whatever is there inside this folder will get overwritten into this particular folder, where your user share Nginx HTML is where you are getting the default page from. So you can run this and we can check if we are able to create it. So let's go and do this one. So what we are trying to do now, again, see here, it's an Nginx. Already we have Nginx that is downloaded. So this time the container creation will be very fast. So what we are doing, Docker run the detached mode for the port number 82 in my local, pointing to 80 in the container. Name will be my custom, and -V volume will be pointing from C users 815 Docker to this particular HTML. How do we find out whether it is this HTML only? Just go back to the Docker Hub. Go back to the Docker Hub, and this is your directory where all your static files are. Okay, so this is how you will go ahead and share some content. See here, this is how you will do. Okay, go do this now. Let's see what happens. So an advantage here is, I told you Docker is very lightweight and very small size, so we don't want to put multiple files there and then make your Docker slow. You should not do that. The best way to do is to mount it from here to this one, so that any changes you make in the local will also be reflected immediately. So it's kind of mounting or mapping between both. Now see, the Docker container got created faster because we already have the Nginx. Now if you go and do a Docker PS, see what happens. You have 3 running, one in 80, 81 and 82. 82 is our custom, that what we did the volume mapping. Let's go and try that and see. Localhost colon 82. See, we are having our custom copy. Now, if I go back to this particular path, right? If I go back to this particular path, wherever my file is, let's go and see if we can change that, and we can go on. Okay, I think this is the index.html that is getting printed there. Okay, let's go back here. Open this modify and see if we are able to modify there. And we will also see how to log into the container and check. Okay, we'll do both. So say open with any editor you want, you can use, but for now I'm using my notepad. I'm using my notepad, so I'm going to make this as some color now, red. Maybe I'll change this to red, save this guy and go back here. It's already mounted to this one, so any change that I make to the local will also reflect in our container. This way you can have lot of files in your local and map it. Even if you destroy the container, still all your data will be there with you in the local volume storage, right? So that way you can kind of map everything, you don't lose the data. Okay, so this is where your volumes come in, very handy, right? Okay, now let's see how to remove a container. To remove a running container, you need to stop the container. Let's go and see how to remove the container. Say docker ps. There are 3 things running now. I can say docker rm is remove. Again, these are all Linux based commands because they're running in Linux. So let me go and say goofy write, right? Goofy underscore write. See, you cannot remove a running container. Stop the container before attempting to remove or do a force removal. So you can do a force removal like this, right? -F. You can do this. It will force remove, but that is not recommended. So please be very careful. That is not recommended. Okay. The best way to do is always to stop a container and then you can run this. So I have my Nginx. So I'm going to give the ID BA1. Stop the container, and once you stop the container, then you should be able to go and do a docker rm and BA1. So that is also gone. Go and do a docker ps. Only one will be running. Docker ps, only one container is running. -a will be here. All these are gone. All these are gone. We have stopped the container, so it is here, and we can go ahead and remove the container. Okay, so this is how it happens, right? Only one is running, the other 2 are the old ones. Okay, so this is how you can remove a container. You can only remove the container after you stop. Now if you want to remove all the stopped and inactive containers, you can run this command called docker container prune. You should be very careful in running this particular command. If you run this command, it's going to remove all the containers which are inactive. So in our case, it will keep the first one and it will delete the other 2. Okay, other 2 it will delete. Let's go and see if we can do them. Please be very careful when you run this command. It will ask you for the confirmation. Are you sure you want to remove all the containers? Because there may be some production application where you might have stopped for some maintenance or something, right? So you need to be very clear on this and do a yes. Okay, what it's going to do, it's going to delete both the containers 7169 and AF1. See, AF1. It has removed everything. It has reclaimed 3.155 MB. Now you go and do a docker ps -a. Only one is running. That is the one that is there with us now. Okay, so please be very careful in removing this command. Next, if there are any troubleshooting you wanted to do, then you can go and inspect into particular container ID and you can see all the parameters in JSON format. You can see and you can go and check that. So let's go and see docker inspect. Let's have this here. So we need the ID and we'll say docker inspect and give the ID 92F. Either you can give all the 10 digits or just few digits from there, right? Just put an enter. What it will do, it will show you the entire stuff in JSON, all the parameters that are there in this container, right? You can see the what we are trying to do. This is the argument that is being passed, whether the state of the container is running, past, what is when it started, when it finished, what is the image it's using, right? And all those things. If you come here, it has bound our volume to this local folder here, right? Mapping to this one, whatever we have given, right? So all these things that you can see, and the host port is mapped to 82 and default port is 80, right? 80 is mapped to 82. So all the details of this particular the container, you can see all the details here, right? So mount points, you can see the mount point, the source is here, destination is here, right? You can see the mount point, you can see all your networking configurations and everything that you can see here. Okay, so it's very difficult, right? It's very difficult for us to kind of go through everything here. So it's always better to do write this to a file, say inspect.json, and output this to this file. Once you output this file, then go back whenever you have time. You can go and analyze those things. If your manager is asking you for something, this is the best way to go and see, right? See, inspect.json. The spelling is wrong. It should be JSON. That's fine. So just open with your notepad or your favorite editor, and you can go ahead and check those commands one by one, and you can do. Okay, you can go ahead and do. So sometimes in the Linux, if you are doing, you can use a grep command, and you can use that also. Okay, you can find for particular thing that you are trying to do. Go down and select your notepad. It will open in your notepad. Okay, so this is how you can go ahead and check this. You can inspect, you can get into the Docker container, and you can go ahead and see what is there inside that. Next is it will give you a Docker info about the Docker. This information, this is different from this one. This is for a specific container, what you want to check. This is for the overall container information about the entire Docker, right? How many images are running there and everything. You can go and say Docker info. Docker info. So this will give you number of Docker that is running in the running state, how many you have, and all those things it will give you. Okay, so this is the JSON file that whatever we copy to the file, and you can go and search here whatever you wanted to search, and you can go ahead and check this, right? So these are all the ways that you can do, and this is the Docker info that we get. So we have totally only one container that is running, and what are the plugins that we are running, right? And you can see all the running past, how many images total I have in my local system, or what is the storage driver, right? What is the volume, right? Everything is here. What is the architecture? what is the OS type, everything is here. Total memory, right? So 4 CPUs are there, total memory. So what I'm using Docker desktop. So how it's all looking like everything is here. So this is your Docker info command. Then you have something called Docker logs. So suppose if you are having some logs that is being written, you can check in this one directly, right? So let's go and see if we can get something in the Docker log. So you say Docker log and Docker logs and give your container ID 92F. See here, this is all written, whatever we saw in the foreground, right? That will be written in the log, and you can go back and check all these things, right? If you print something, everything will be here. Whatever that you do here you will be able to see it. Okay, so this is how you can go and find out the logs to troubleshoot anything. Then Docker login, you can log in using the Docker Hub. Then we saw that how to stop the container, how to start the container. You can also check the statistics of the resource statistics of the container, right? Docker stats. Docker stats.
Chandra, I think we are not able to hear your voice. Are you speaking something?